Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, it's here. It's here. We didn't think we were going to get to it, but you see that old I think she's a homicidal cartoon. That's just me. That's just me. Big old homicidal cartoon. Let me get you to my commercial really quick, and then we will get started.
Thank you so much for watching my videos. Hey, please like, thumbs up this video, and also subscribe. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you could be alerted to my new videos. All right, we're getting ready to get into this. Peace.
All right. All right. Let's get my banners up. Let's get it. All right. So here we are in season 2, episode 1, entitled, I think it's Ouroboros. Ouroboros. Little snake eating its tail. That's the symbol that it is. And this is what the entitled the show. And also there's a character in this show called Ouroboros. So as we start off, we pick up from where we left off on first season, where we see Loki is just real exasperated. He's real excited and just going through things, trying to figure out. He couldn't figure out how come Morbius didn't know who he was. He's just running through the TVA talking about, hey, we got the timeline is messing up. And they're like, we know. He's like, the timeline is messing up. I know who's doing it. I know who's messing it up and everything like that. We need to figure it out. We need to get him. We need to do whatever. No one's understanding what's going on. So they started chasing after him. They chased Loki throughout the TVA. He's surrounded. Then Loki decides to jump out the window. When he jumps out the window, he hits into a flying truck. The lady who is flying the truck is so shocked to see somebody that fell down. Child, she hit the statue of Kang, the Kang statue, and she hits it on one side. And I think there's another period of time as well where the statue is hit on the other side. So now the statue actually looks like the Kang from Kang the Conqueror from Ant-Man, no longer looking like He Who Remains. Now, shout out what we're going to talk about right here. A lot of people were anticipating this show simply because we all understand that Jonathan Majors is going through the legal system at this point. And I remember there was a lot of pundits talking about, oh, they're going to recast him and they're going to do reshoots and all this other stuff. From what I understand, Kang is in and out throughout this whole situation. I don't think that Marvel wanted to, honestly, and I'm just gonna say it loud as I don't have any proof, but I don't think that they wanted to spend that type of money to reset and recast and find another a character. And also, too, I think they have had a couple of situations where they have jumped the gun, and then they found out that was more problematic than anything. So I guess that they're trying to figure out what's going to go on with this court case and make a decision from that. But whatever decision's made, there is no reshoots or anything going on in Loki. We are going to see Jonathan Majors in this series. Now, getting back to it. The truck driver hits the statue, loses control, and hits right back into the TVA building, causing one of the monitors to fall and crash on the ground. Once it falls and crashes on the ground, he sees, I don't know what this man's name is, but he sees this other guy who's supposed to know who he is. The guy doesn't know who Loki is. He calls for Morbius to tell him, I found the intruder. Then Loki slips through time again. He comes back in the same place, and the guy knows who he is. Excuse me, y'all. The guy knows who he is. Loki's like, how long? He was like, I just saw you way back over here. I don't know. So Loki looks down and he sees that the ground is cracked. He asked him, how long has the ground been cracked? He says, I don't know. It's been cracked ever since I've been here. So Loki is slipping in time through the past. He's slipping in time through the present. And he's slipping in time through the future. Now, the hiccup is you're not supposed to be able to slip through time in the TVA. Well, I think because, like I said, Sylvie broke the multiverse, that everything is haywire. Everything is haywire. And I know Loki was running through there talking about the war is going to start. The war is going to start. Everything is going to start. It's going to be a problem. Anyway, he's running through. He gets to present time Mobius. He explains to Mobius as best he can what's going on. Mobius sees him slipping stuff through time. He says, I know somebody who knows somebody that can help you. He takes him down to the basement in the TVA. The man is named Ouroboros. He's been there for a long time because he greets Mobius, says, oh, last time I saw you was 400 years ago. 400 years ago? Wait a minute. You mean to tell me there are people who've been in the TVA for 400 years? This is crazy. How come they don't remember Loki coming back and forth? We'll talk about that. So, long story short of it, you still have the threat of the Kangs coming. Ouroboros fixes an extractor that's going to extract Loki from time so he won't be time slipping. And apparently Loki slipped back and forth in time in the past and in the future so that Ouroboros would know to make the extractor and know how to use it and everything like this. So it's a lot. It's a lot going on. So let me just go on some key points in there that sparked interest to me. So the judges decide to get together in the war room to talk about what they're going to do, what's going on, what's happening, because the timeline is splintering into infinity. They can't, the loom that weaves the time cannot weave that many timelines together into one sacred timeline. It can't do it. It's starting to degrade, corrupt, and possibly blow up. So they're in there talking. Ravonna, isn't it Ravonna Renslayer and Miss Minutes, honey? They gone. We don't know where they at. So they go into the war room and the judges are in there talking, and B-15 is explaining to them what's going on. And they're like, well, we just need to get out here and we just need to prune these timelines. And she says, you cannot. She says, because each branch is a whole new universe. If you're pruning this universe, you are killing hundreds and thousands and millions of people. And she's like, you can't do that. She says, it's just going to have to splinter in many ways that it needs to splinter into. So this one particular judge says, one of the Minutemen is what I'm gonna call them, the army, the TVA army. He is really, really freaking out because he's figuring out that the timekeepers aren't real. They're puppets. They were not real. He thought that they were real. It was almost like he worshipped them like they were a god. And now his whole world and stuff like that is just turned. And the judge was telling him, listen to me. Yes, we find out that the timekeepers aren't who they say they are, but the warning that was heeded still remains. I'm like, what is she talking about? What is she talking? Why is she talking like this? Also, they are on the hunt for Sylvie. And so they said, we've got to go get Sylvie. When we go get Sylvie, everything will be, we'll figure all this stuff out. So I was like, okay, they're going to run to get Sylvie. B-15 is like, okay, I'll go with them to figure out what's going on with, to get Sylvia. I'll go with them to figure all this out. You got Loki and them over there at the down where the loom is, the timeline loom that puts everything into the one sacred, tries to blend all that stuff into that one sacred timeline. They're trying to extract Loki from time. You got all this going on, and meanwhile, he's slipping back and forth, and he's slipping back and forth. One of the interesting things was that he slipped back in time while he was in the war room, and he saw the big mural of Kang. And the one thing that I noticed about that mural is like when you looked at him in different areas, he looked different. Like when his face was like the way I'm looking at you now, he looked like He Who Remains. When you went to the left or the right, you started to see the little intimations of the mask that he wore in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. You started seeing those little things come out. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Child, he went over there to that reel to reel. And honey, if you did not matriculate in the 80s and 90s, you might not know what the reel to reel is, but it's a little machine that he turned on to hear the tape, and then you hear Kang talking to Ravonna Renslayer and whatnot. One of the things that I found out, because like I said, I am a casual watcher of this, but one of the things that I found out is that Kang and Ravonna, Kang was in love with Ravonna. And every time that he thought that he could get to where he could, I guess, tell her that he loved her or have a relationship, she died. And so that made me think, you remember with What If, with Doctor Strange and that doctor that he was in love with, and her death was always like a fixed point in time. I'm thinking that Ravonna's death is always a fixed point in time. Because what I found out listening to some other creators was the fact that because it didn't matter what universe he went to, he never could get to her. He spewed her essence in all the universes, so that there will always be a version of Ravonna in all the universes. And I guess he's going to try to figure out which universe is going to be the universe that's going to be that anti-universe where she doesn't die. But that's probably the universe where you don't even exist. But anyway, Kang. Anyway, we get back to Ouroboros, Mobius, and Loki. So basically, they're down where the loom is. They've got to put the extractor in the thingamabob so that it can extract Loki out of all the different universes, and so he won't be time slipping. Ouroboros explains to Mobius that what he has to do, and if he doesn't do it in the right time, he's going to be out there and his skin is going to peel off. And poor Mobius, he was so upset about that, and I would be too, because Loki would be slipping through time fooling around with me. I'm just going to tell you the truth. He was slipping till he couldn't slip. He will be slipping, dipping, and tripping through time, fooling around with me. So anyway, they had the prune stick, and as they were getting ready to prune him down in the near the loom, Loki time slips again. So this time he ends up in another part of the TVA. But I think he's also in another time too. Because what happens is he's running and running and running, and then he hears the telephone ringing. And I don't know what made him stop at this telephone. This telephone is ringing. And this telephone is ringing. You remember, I guess, where the timekeepers were? That's where they were. And so the elevator doors start coming open, and it's Sylvie. And she was like, oh, here you are. And then the next thing you know, somebody's like creeping up behind it, but you can't really see, but it's like a shadow. Loki gets pruned. He gets pruned right at the right time so that he is extracted out of time. And he gets more, he rams into Mobius, and then they fall back into before the blast doors close, and their skin comes off and everything like this. So they just make it. So that was the end of the episode. There was an end credit scene with Sylvie. She ends up in 1982 in Oklahoma. She goes to a McDonald's, and she decides that she wants everything on the menu. So she's back in 1982. So now that's completely the end of the episode. So here is my question. Who was on the phone? Why was he so drawn to that? At what time was he? Number 2, who pruned Loki? Because remember, he got away. Well, he slipped through time to where he was no longer down by the loom. So Who pruned Loki? Who was standing behind him and pruned him? Interesting. Also, what's interesting to me is, was He Who Remains and Miss Minutes, were they resetting or wiping the minds of the people in the TVA? Because you notice, like, every time there was an instance where Loki time slipped, like he time slipped to the past and he was in the TVA, he caused some issues and problems. All those people seemed like their minds were wiped and they didn't know anything about it. The only person that seemed like she knew something was that judge, because she said it doesn't matter that what we know to be true is not the truth. The warning still remains. What's that warning? What is this warning? What's this protocol that she's following where she had to have 15, 16 different I'm calling them TVA police going through the wormhole or whatever they're going through to go in time to look for Sylvie? Why did they need that many people? Because they had all this armor and they needed all these people. What's going on? Where is Ravonna? Where is the homicidal cartoon? Where'd they go? Because you remember in season 1, Ravonna went to go. Miss Minutes gave Ravonna all this information and told her to go. Where did she go? Are we going to find out where she is? And again, are we going to figure out where the homicidal cartoon is at? Because I swear that thing back there, she got bodies. I'm just saying, she got bodies, child. We going to figure all this out. So tell me what you thought of this episode. It was fast-paced. It was chaotic. I enjoyed it. But what I do know about Marvel and Star Wars and all this other stuff, you have these real energetic episodes, and then you'll have those episodes that you have to almost, you almost got to cut yourself just to make sure that you could stay awake or do something. So what do you think? What do you think about this episode? I'll give this episode out of 10. I'll give it an 8. It kept me interested and it kept me asking questions. Are these people's minds being wiped? What's going to happen to the loom when all those threads or universes, it can no longer try to weave everything together into one sacred timeline? Where did the judge and all those people go? How are they going to evacuate the TVA? How old is Ouroboros? He's at least 430 years old, because he seemed like a 30, 40-year-old man. How old is he? How did Sylvie get to Oklahoma? Did she have the because y'all let me know down here in the comments. Tell me what you think of the show. What's your rating? What rating do you give this show? Like I said, I'll give it 8. It kept my interest. I can't wait to the second one. All right, people. We do this every week. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and leave it down in the comments. Who pruned Loki? Were the people of the TVA getting their minds wiped? Are we going to see Kane confess his love to Ravonna? What the hell is she? Homicidal cartoon. All right, people. And as always, bye-bye.